All right, how'd you think it went?
It was short.
It was short, yes, as some
And
lessons are.
The one thing I didn't do was the 1 minute little video off of McGraw Hill.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the one thing that I was like, once I excused them to tables, I looked at the clock and I said, oh, I should have held them back for that one video. But they were retaining it so quickly that I just moved on.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, you know, it is like you said, it's a review. So they may or may not have needed it, and that's fine. So
well, it's a new lesson, right?
It was, but I'm talking about just the video itself.
Oh,
the quick little video. Yeah, the content was new to them, but as far as the little video clip, that's not one of those. I wouldn't count that as one of those like critical pieces of the lesson. Like I use it as either an intro or a review after I do my the modeling.
Okay.
So would not call it a critical piece. So if you didn't do it, that's fine. Especially if you were seeing like on the carpet that they were like getting it. It's like, you know, why waste that 1 minute watching a video when they could be going to their seats, collaborating with the groups, and, you know, working on the content there. So I was fine with that. No worries. I don't even always do the video, you know.
Yeah.
So it's fine. And there's not always a video for every lesson either. So
Okay.
so it's fine. What did you feel went really well?
I think they all understood the content easily and quickly.
Yeah.
And so that was good. That was what I think went really well.
Yeah, just from what I saw walking around, it seemed like that they were getting it.
Yeah,
they were
everyone
understanding
got it.
Obviously, that's the main thing, and so we can dive into those exit tickets later on, just really see.
Yeah.
Because I know with the exit tickets, it asked it in different ways, whereas the box 3 and 4 was just the problems, whereas like the exit tickets asked it in a little bit like did like a word problem or like what addition fact could help you solve this, you know. So we can kind of take a look and see how deep their understanding went once we look at the exit tickets. But yeah, from what I saw, it looked like for the most part they were getting it.
Oh yeah.
Just to add to some of those positives, you start off by kind of reviewing what they're going to talk about. You had an essential question for them to kind of discuss. You used random sticks. Let's see what else. Once they got to their seats, you showcased some student work on the doc cam. Great. Did some circulating, walked around. Let's see. You did box 4, which is great because we hadn't done that in a while.
Okay.
So it's great that you just took some time to talk about their thinking and write down their thinking in words. That's a huge thing for math that I like to do. We just haven't had the chance to do it because obviously you know how short the lesson was.
Yeah.
So I'm glad because we had time to squeeze in that box 4 because normally if we're like, you know, subtracting 3-digit numbers and they're, you know, regrouping and using their base 10 blocks on their whiteboards or papers or TO charts or whatever, that's very time consuming. It takes time. So I'm glad we had a chance to kind of pause and just kind of debrief through our thinking. One thing I think might have helped them a little bit is we had discussed beforehand, try and make that connection to the base 10, the actual base 10 blocks. And so you did like an algorithm on the board, the 600 plus some, you wrote it out. But I think you would have made that connection to the base 10 blocks if you were like drew out the 100 flats, you know, and instead of just
where are those? Drew out 100
Yeah, like the TO chart, like the TO charts that we did, except doing HTO, hundreds, tens, and ones.
Okay.
So if we had drawn those out so they could see, that might have been a little bit more of a connection for them. They might not have needed that, but I think to make that connection, because later on in the next few ones, when it gets to a strategy that's not so mental, because today was a mental strategy, when they get to a strategy not so mental, we'll be going back to those HTO charts, those hundreds, tens, and ones charts, and, you know, doing all that fun stuff with them. So I think that might have made a little bit more of a connection for them. You know, that's the main thing I saw that we could probably tweak. That and the objective. Maybe we like to include like a buy statement in the objective. Like telling them what they're going to do, and then how they're going to do it. So like I would have said maybe add numbers in the hundreds place by using a mental strategy or just something. How how are they going to accomplish that? So that's another small thing
I just got that out of the McGraw-Hill objective for the lesson.
And I rarely use theirs. In fact, a lot of the ones that are on the, I forget which one was on the exit ticket. There might not have been one. I think chapter 6 there was no. I think chapter 6 there was no. Nope, I take that back. No, on not sorry, not the exit ticket. No, on the not exit ticket. On the why am I spacing the name? Learning logs, the math learning logs. Yeah, and I had one written on the learning log, but I can add 3-digit numbers.
By using base 10
Yeah, I might have changed that to more of a.
Where the blocks are.
Well, and that's what thing. I probably would have. Someone else wrote that objective. I probably would change that if I would have wrote it. I probably changed it to by using a mental strategy because I wanted it to be more of a mental thing.
Good. Yeah.
So that's all.
Yeah, I liked it. It went. I think it went well. They just grasped it so quickly that I think spending too much time.
No, I agree.
Wouldn't have been necessary.
Totally.
So they did get extra time with their computer program, Prodigy today. But yeah, it seemed to go well if we're just focusing on that one lesson.
Yeah, and it's great because it was easy, but it's definitely a prerequisite skill of what's to come.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to mentally add hundreds or even tens or ones or.
And understanding that you can take the hundreds place and add it just like you can in the single numbers.
Oh yeah, totally.
So that's good.
And it also directly correlates to their standard. They have to know. They have to be able to add and subtract 10 and 100 from basically a 3-digit number. So that's like actually in the standards that they have to be able to do that by the end of the school year. So the lesson you taught today directly correlates to the standards. So
great.
Very critical. So I think it was a good lesson for sure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's see. Let's pull up.
Is that all?
Yep, that's it.